Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight. I am Scott McMeans, of course, with Action Coach. I am thrilled today. We've got Lisa Redman from Nuevo Modern Mexican Restaurant. And not only we're recording this at lunchtime, which is probably not the smartest idea because I'm already hungry, but I want to learn as much as I can about Nuevo Modern Mexican. So, Lisa, the camera and the microphone are yours. Go ahead and
Hello.
introduce yourself. Tell us your story. How did you get to where you are right now?
Oh gosh, this has been a well, I'm almost 50. So I've been in this business since really 2000. So quite a while. Um, but yeah, my name is Lisa Marie Redman, and I own Nuevo Modern Mexican Tequila Bar. I also own Lakeside Event Space, which is a part of our Nuevo Modern Mexican concept. So honestly, me starting in 2000, I just started as a bartender. I did a little bit of prep cook, which lasted about a month.
Oh
Um,
boy.
and I realized back of the house is really not my forte. But so I've always been surrounded by food for quite a while. I, like I said, in 2000, starting in the restaurant business, bartending, serving. I managed an Indian restaurant for years. So yeah, so I've been doing
Interesting.
it for quite a while. Um, in the middle of the restaurant business and just bartending and serving and managing, I actually was going to school to be a registered dietitian. So I actually went to school. I got a bachelor's at Akron U, and then I got a master's at Kent State. So
Wow.
so I actually have been really truly surrounded by food, I swear, just for over 20 years now. So I kind of needed that flexible bartending, serving kind of position in order to be able to make some money, but also be able to actually, become a registered dietitian, which is a long haul. It's
Oh,
Yeah, it's 4 years of a bachelor's, 2 years of a master's, and then another 1,100 hours in internship. So it's long, but it was great. So that's what
I
I
love it.
did for the start of all of that. Yeah. So what ended up happening is in the middle of all this, restaurant, bartending, serving, dietitianing, all those things, I met Zachary Hurt, who was a chef at my very first restaurant that I worked at. And then we got into a relationship, got married, did the whole thing, and he was a chef. And so he moved a couple times over, the years that we were together. And then him and I were like, I think we should probably try to do this on our own. let's try
Oh,
to,
wow.
let's try, yeah, let's try to create um, a new concept for Akron, Ohio.
Yeah.
So we did some research and realized that there was no modern Mexican in Akron, Ohio. And so there was obviously delicious modern Mexican restaurants in Cleveland, and that I still love so much.
Yeah.
Uh, that were kind of our inspiration. So we opened, we did our whole thing. It took 3 years of business plan, finding financing, and really like diving into like Mexico. Like, what
Okay.
does it mean? What does it mean for this cuisine? What does it mean for the drinks, the drink part of it? What makes sense for the community that was there in Akron? So we had a lot of fun um, doing that. He was cooking food, I was doing drinks. We started bringing some staff on, and we actually started building our team, which was really really cool. So that one of those team members who ended up being our operations manager is now my husband. So we've had a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of of connections for quite a long time in building Nuevo and making it the best you can be. So
I love it. There's a lot to unpack with what you just said, and I
yes,
want to, I want to make sure that the audience gets a chance to understand, at least from your perspective,
yes.
the questions I'm going to ask, because I pulled something out of here. You said you started as a bartender, a prep cook, and then you realized the back of the house is not your forte. So then you decided to become a dietitian. Now that you're a dietitian and a restaurateur, how often do you merge those two careers into presenting something to your clientele? And second, what was it about the back office that led you to believe that's not your forte?
Well, the back of the house,
Back of the house, sorry.
being a
Yeah.
chef, yeah, being a chef is very difficult. And to be honest, I had a wonderful like family that when I grew up, I did not I did not learn how to cook. My mother and father, like they were just like the best, they like took care of us. I didn't really have a lot of chores. I didn't really have, oh, you got to learn how to cook. I didn't do any of that stuff. Um, and to be honest, over the years, I've always dated and been with people that were like really great cooks. So I was just so blessed. God was like, here you go. Like I
Yeah.
know you can't do this, but here it is. Um, so I never really had like I never really felt comfortable doing anything chef related. Definitely interested in the food aspect of it, of course. But my thing has always been front of the house and just like, you know, just being with people and teaching people and, just becoming
Okay.
friends and those kind of things. So just the mouthpiece, I guess, of the front of the
That's
house.
not okay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I'm interested, or I find interesting. You said, I like working with people. I like teaching people. I like
Yes.
building a team. And these are concepts that ring true for somebody in a real leadership position. These are things that
Yes.
ring true for somebody that is a good owner, because you've literally gone from the back of the house to the front of the house to the president's box or the owner's
Correct.
box, right? That's
Correct.
that's a very interesting position to be in, because you've been there, done that in all these different positions. So you kind of know the plight of the back of the house. You know
Yes.
the challenges and struggles of somebody behind the bar. And now as an owner, you can, I would assume, take the things that you've known and experienced and make a better experience for those that you work with. So the ultimate customer experience rings true. Is that a good assessment of what's happening here?
100%. I think that it's important to have all of those experiences when you are an owner. I think it's very important because
Mhm.
no matter, especially in the restaurant business, and we all know as entrepreneurs that you are going to be thrown into something and your dishwasher could be calling off and you could be being like, hey,
Mhm.
I got to know how to work this dish machine. Oh my gosh, my pantry cook called off. Now I got to make chips. Now I got to make salads. Now I got to scoop guac. Oh, I have to bartend now. I got to, like all these things. I got to make sure I know how to hostess. So I think it's very important
Yeah.
to to know all those things. And I think I was just guided through that, like you're just like, oh, I've already done all these things, like
Mhm.
which I think works really well, because obviously you don't know that you start in 2000 and then 2014 you're going to be an entrepreneur. You don't know that, when in 2000. So it's pretty cool, I think, and really fun to be able to like know all these things and to have those experiences. And you're 100% right. I also understand their ups and downs with it as well, as far as like my employees, the back of the house, the front of the house, connecting with guests, all that is very important. And I just know all of that from that experience from starting 2000.
Yeah, this is an interesting perspective. Okay, there's such a thing as servitude leaders, or a service-driven leader. There's also something that's come forward in the last so many years: an empathetic leader, somebody that has empathy in the face of what they know, not only their clients but their teammates are going through. So instead of being angry that somebody called off, you know what that means for everybody else in the team. So you have a different feel for how to lead that team. And I think most business owners struggle with being a true leader because they haven't gone through what it takes to be every department of their business, right?
Yes.
So there's a great book called The E-Myth, and it's basically telling you if you're a really good technician, you have to change your mindset to be a really good leader or a really good business owner. And what they're trying to get you to understand is just because you're really good at being a chef doesn't mean you know how to run the books. Doesn't mean you know how to run a cash register. It doesn't even know how to be a really good customer service or a wait staff individual. So
Right.
it's leveraging your skill set, Lisa. And I love your skill set because you have so many different things that's
Thank
in
you.
your background. But what's neat about you is not only do you leverage your skill set, but you specifically said straight up, and you found this in family members and partners, I am not a good cook, so I'm going to find somebody who is, right?
Yes. Yes.
But take that mentality and say, I'm not a good accountant. I'm going to
Yeah.
find somebody who is. Because
Yes.
accounting is a very needed part of your business, but it's not the part of your business that drives it to move forward just yet. So you need to
Right.
find those pieces that fit and make a really pretty puzzle. So I commend you for going through 14 years of learning and educating yourself, and then being able to teach that to
Thank
your
you.
team. I think is really important. Before we
Yeah.
go any further, I want to give you a chance to tell me what is so special about Nuevo Modern Mexican. What's so great about it? You insinuated a couple things about the food and the cocktails, but what
Yes.
makes it such a neat a unique individual experience?
Well, I think Nuevo, because, well, it's been a 10-year, we've been in business for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is wonderful, going through COVID and going through ups and downs. And it's the restaurant business. So, it's kind of, already has those ups and downs as it is, right? I still think we have the same inviting feeling as we've always had since day one. And our whole vision for day one is what we're doing now, which is like, bring your employees in, make them feel like family, train them that way, then your guests will also feel that.
Mm,
So that is what I'm most proud of with Nuevo, is that I have a good amount of employees that have been with me for a very long time, and they understand this concept, and they're just kind of pushing through when we're training of like, this is where we came from, this is who we are, we want to educate tequila and modern Mexican food, and we want to do all these things and make people so happy. But we want them to feel like, if it's one guest walking in to the bar by themselves, we want
mm,
them to feel just as inviting and happy as if you get a full buyout of a restaurant and you have 300 people there. So I think we're all just very like gracious and just
love that.
giving, kind of, giving people. And definitely that starts at the top. That definitely starts at the top and it goes down. And I think that if we just keep doing that as a team, we'll just keep people happy. I don't think that,
Love this.
you obviously go in for many reasons in a business. But ultimately you're here to like, create happiness for people. So that's a big part of it.
I the fact that tequila equals happiness is what I pulled out of what you said
Yeah.
there. Tequila equals happiness.
Yes,
But
tequila equals happiness.
but here's the interesting point. There's so many different and unique things I want to pull out of this conversation because I think it resonates with people, or at least it should. One, you said you want to make people happy, and you do so by making sure they're educated on the food and the tequila they're enjoying.
Correct.
So you're very open about, you want people to be immersed in the experience of being in your restaurant. You want them to
Yes.
feel as if they're part of the family, because they are. In addition to that, you want them to understand and have this joy, this happiness, because they're experiencing something they have never experienced before. And that comes
Yes.
from your generosity, your graciousness with respect to how you treat them, and the knowledge you want them to pull out of being there. And this is what I find interesting. An educated client is the best kind of client. So when you have somebody walk in the door and they ask you about what's that bottle of tequila, you have a staff that knows what that tequila is, how it was made, the nuances of it, what's good about it, what's bad about it. And now the customers can make an educated decision. I don't want to make light of this because that is one of the most important aspects of being a salesperson that anybody can learn. You
Yep.
educate people and then get out of the way and let them make a buying decision, right?
Yes.
You can
Yes.
do what you can to coerce them one way or the other, but at the end of the day, you will have the happiest clientele when they are educated on what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, and the reasons why you're doing it. Then they understand this is the place I want to be. And then they make
Yes.
their buying decision. So, regardless of what business you're in, those are traits that every business should take to heart because
100%.
this is something that makes a difference in the buying decision and the
And then,
experience. I love the fact that you said happy experience because that's what you want your customers to
yeah, because
have.
they're going to come back.
Right.
That's the other thing. I mean, that's your whole point. Like bringing them in and making them happy. And then they're coming back and then they market for you. You know what I mean? Like go out
Well,
there and
here,
tell the
you know this
goods.
probably better than anybody, right? Experience and research shows that when somebody has an amazing experience, they'll tell 1 to 3 people.
Yeah.
If they have a really bad experience, they'll tell 7 to 10 different people.
Yeah.
So it's in your best odds to give somebody an amazing experience. So they'll one tell up to 3 people or more, but two, they're not telling 7 to 10 people how bad the experience was. So
No, no.
you're best served, right, by making sure everybody walks in and they have that happy experience.
Correct.
I'm
Yes.
gonna turn the card on you a little bit and ask about lessons learned. Lisa, what are some of the lessons over 14 years, 10 years of ownership, but being in the business for 24 years? What's the last 10 years of business ownership given you as lessons? What can somebody learn from you?
I think lessons learned are I I mean I oh, both restaurants I was able to create I want to say create a community, but connect the community in, meaning like so when we started at downtown Akron, I was like, we're gonna have our bank down here and we're gonna have our lawyer down here and our architect down here. And so then it creates like, hey, we're gonna take care of each other, right?
Mm,
Um, the same for Cleveland for downtown, a little bit harder, right? Because it's a larger city, but let's connect with what's around us and how can we help each other. I think my lesson learned for that is that I kind of wish I would have like almost instead of being immersed in it, being like, hey, we're opening and here we are and let me connect. I wish I would have almost went to the community first and been like, what
mm,
are the struggles? What do I see? Like for downtown Cleveland, our spot, I mean, we're right on the pier, right?
mm-hmm.
And there's great parking on the pier, but we don't own the pier, right? So that's been a somewhat of a struggle because you're seeing like you have a ton of parking spots on the pier and it's great for Cleveland because not a lot of people have parking in Cleveland, especially in downtown, especially having a large event space that we have, you have parking right there, right?
Yeah,
But there's a lot of challenges with having the Good Time 3 there, with having Rock Hall, which is both blessings and bring us a ton of business.
I was gonna
But
say both blessings and a curse, right?
yeah,
Because
then it's like, okay, now there's more people. That's just a small thing, that I can think of, but it's just like I almost wish that I would have like connected before going
mhm,
into like opening, being like, hey, I connected enough with the community around me, but really what could be some
yeah,
of the struggles. Um, and obviously, we all learn to do the SWOT analysis and all those things. But when you're going into business, and we kind of went into Cleveland very fast because we started Nuevo Akron in 2014, and then 2016, we started Nuevo Cleveland. Yes,
okay,
which is very not something we really had on a horizon or our business plan. It just was something we were like guided to, and we thought it was just like a wonderful opportunity. And obviously it is a wonderful opportunity, but we had not very much time to kind of,
Mhm.
figure out some of those things like, hey, what's going to be challenges? You see a spot like ours and it's like, wow, this is going to be great. But I think knowing where you are and just trying to somehow figure out what would be a challenge and trying to figure that out from there.
Interesting question though, Lisa, because I'm understanding what you're saying. 2014, you open Akron. 2 years or so later, you're opening up Cleveland, and you're saying
Yes.
it might have been too quick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it too quick because you were ill prepared for the challenges of two locations and the bigger staff, or was it too quick because you weren't allowed to pay attention to two locations, or is it a mixture of both? Well, what are the reasons why you would say those were challenges?
Yeah. I think I think a little of both. I
Yeah.
think that, like, so one of the challenges that we had was, so we had this wonderful team in Akron that was managing, and doing a great job, and and trying to, obviously connect with the community out there, and and building that business in Akron, right? So what we did was we were like, okay, we're gonna take uh this main person from the kitchen, this manager, this bar manager that has trained all of our staff, and we're going to put them in Cleveland,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Which,
simple, right?
simple, we got this. So that's
Mhm.
what we did. But then we started realizing, oh my gosh, like you have that in this project, and Cleveland is so big. And you have a big restaurant, and then you have a huge catering leg that is
Mhm.
now growing on top of that. And again, blessings, but it's like you figure out like, oh my gosh, now you have to be two places. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Now you have to be two places at once. You got to give attention to both. You literally want to just clone yourself, because you want to be at both places, especially someone like me, Scott, who I want to like literally immerse myself in like the
Yep.
employees and the guests and the experience. It's like, oh my gosh, wow, this is hard to do, to stretch
Mhm.
yourself and then stretch your employees to make it the best it could be. So we did the best we could, um, obviously with two restaurants going. And but I think that that was something I learned of like,
Sure.
now that I'm growing more, how do I start that? And it's definitely a different way now, like how do I start that new venture? um and
It's
instead of
not
just,
easy.
it is not
It's not
easy.
easy, and that's why I was interested to hear. Is it that you grew too fast? You have two locations. What it's this unique combination that somebody in
Yes.
2000 wasn't prepared for. In
No.
2014, never thought in a million. 2 years later, you're going to do this again.
No.
So one thing we've pulled out of Lisa is she's an ambitious young lady that likes to take challenges, which is a great
Yes.
characteristic for an entrepreneur. So good on you.
Thank
But
you.
also, you've proven yourself to be over 10 years of being in the business that you're determined to make it work because you have this vision and this opportunity to be successful, and you're going to take full advantage of it, which I love. I
100%.
wanted to ask you, what advice would you give a brand new business owner? Doesn't have to be necessarily a restaurateur, but somebody that's opening their own business. What would the best advice you can think of be?
Okay, well, I think one of the first things we did was go to the small business association. So we got help from the local small business, um, just to get some guidance of
Yep.
like, business plan, how, what do we need to think of, those things. I think that's great resource, free resource, and just a great resource. I think that's number one. Number two, I would say talk to the people that have been in it for quite a while, been in
Mm.
that type of business for quite a while. I did that so I worked for HR for several years, and HR restaurants, they're pretty large. And
Mhm.
I took some time with them and just got like some tips of like, hey, what am I not thinking of? Because you've
Yeah.
been doing it for years. What am I not thinking of?
I love
So
the
I
fact
think
that you actually went back into your own quiver and said, I'm going to reach back out into the community and find out what could be. And that's something you would tell everybody as a really good piece of advice.
yes, I would
Yeah.
say go out and use your, use the people that you've maybe known in the past, or try to find some kind of connection of someone that's already done this to help you through it. And then again, just I think leaning on your community is very important, because that becomes your family, becomes people that bring you business, you give business to. I think that's very important to have a community around you
I will
to
say
lean
one
on.
thing I appreciate about your wisdom is you've made mention of the word family half a dozen times in this
Oh
conversation.
yeah.
And
Yes.
it's obviously something you hold near and dear, and
Yes.
it's true to who you are as far as your nature and the way you treat your employees, and you look to have that experience transitioned over to those who visit your restaurants. I think it's a spot on representation of who you are and what you're bringing to the
Thank
table,
you.
literally to the table. Whether it's tequila or tacos, you're bringing it to the table.
That's right, friend.
I love it. This is the last question I'm going to ask you, and I'm always interested to hear what people have to say, because people always have a different twist, but it's typically the same answer.
Yes.
Lisa, I'm going to throw you in the flux capacitor. You're going to go back so many years and sit on a park bench next to 18-year-old Lisa.
Oh geez.
What would you say to her?
I would say be yourself. Be
Mm,
yourself, you know, find God earlier. I found God. Everyone has their own path, but I think that's literally helped me just be a better person, be a
mm,
happier person, giving person. Um, yeah, but just be yourself, and just keep
love it.
striving forward. And so that's what we're here for, to give back and love, and so just keep doing that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. That's
Yeah.
outstanding.
Thank you. I
I want
appreciate
to
it.
thank you for being on the show. We've gotten through 30 minutes of conversation. It felt like three. So
I know.
thank you
It
for
really
that.
did.
But
Yeah.
I will tell you what, I have plenty of admiration for what you've been able to do. A restaurant that's been in business for 10 years is a
Yes.
rarity. So
Yes.
congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And all the information for you thirsty and hungry people, all the information for Lisa's restaurant, Nuevo Modern Mexican, both Akron and Cleveland, will be in the description down below. So you can, in fact, find them. Look forward to coming out and seeing you at some point and enjoying what great, happy experience I'll have. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being on the show. I appreciate it. And we'll talk again
Thank you,
soon
Scott.
on the Business Spotlight.
Bye, guys.